and Bill Kelly, otherwise known as Dakota, a Scranton rock band which has had great regional success with their last record called Dakota, and has just recently released a new album called Runaway. But you may remember these guys best for something they did many years ago that achieved national and international acclaim.
Timothy, Timothy, Joe was looking at you. Timothy, Timothy, God, what did we do?
The hit song Timothy wound up number 13 in the country back in 1971 when Bill and Jerry were members of a band called The Boys. Now, the record sold over 1.5 million copies and made The Boys instant stars. But it was interesting to find out that the song was written by Rupert Holmes and was based on a disaster that happened right here in Northeast Pennsylvania.
Timothy, what it was about, which there was a situation that happened in our immediate area, the Shepton mine disaster, years ago, which Rupert would never admit, but it's too much of a coincidence that the song was written about anything but that.
After Timothy, the Boys had another modest hit called Give Up Your Guns, which did well in both the United States and Europe. As a matter of fact, it went all the way to number 6 in Holland. But then in 1977, Jerry and Bill left the Boys and formed their own group called the Jerry Kelly Band. Fitting name. But it was a name that the record companies didn't like. So after a lot of deliberation, they became Dakota.
Give up your gun and face the law.
He said, you have a good straight-ahead rock and roll album here. Jerry Kelly sounds too much like the Irish Rovers. You know, they wanted something that had a little more of an edge. And we thought for about, I guess for 3 days, went over names, and like we were just at a point where we said, call it anything, we don't care, you know, and it's like, you could be called the Schmoes or something, and if you have a hit record, you know, it's gonna work. Everybody was drawing straws. I mean, it was like, you know, different names, and then it was like, I think he said as a joke, actually, North Dakota or South Dakota. And then he said, well, how about just Dakota?
Dakota was good enough to yield a pair of regional hits, including If It Takes All Night, which streaked right to number 1 in a few cities. But this success was good enough to land Dakota a spot as the opening act for the band Queen. Now, you all know who they are. But 1 year after the Queen tour, things weren't so rosy anymore.
In 1980, we had been on tour with Queen. It was the largest selling tour. We played Madison Square Garden 3 nights, the Spectrum, all the big venues across the country, and had enjoyed some nice success with our Dakota album. And we had all that success.